Hey guys, welcome back. Well, today is another day of a lot of cutting, splitting, and whatnot, but I am running the Stihl 500i, so I felt like I should somewhat talk about it. I don't know if I really have or not. So obviously that's the 500i. It's a 25-inch bar. So I've had it for, I don't know, it's got to be about a year and a half now. And I definitely have put it through the paces. I mean, I own my own tree service firewood company, so if I had to guess, for the last year and a half, she gets about, on average, 3 hours a day, 5-6 days a week of actual run time on it. So I'm not a weekend warrior. She actually gets used daily in the woods, in the trees, you name it. So I've gone through, I don't know, hundreds of chains, bars, whatnot. So I haven't had it plugged in at the dealer to see actually how many hours I have on it, but it's got to be close to 300-400 hours. So when I first got it, I ran it just bone stock for probably a good month. First couple days that I used it, I know it has to get accustomed to the altitude, the pressure and whatnot, fuel that you're using, so on. It didn't run the greatest. I mean, there was days I was pulling on it and pulling on it. At one point I threw it because it was 90-some degrees and I needed to use it and I just couldn't get it going. And I think that was the second day. So it was like a huge temperature jump. It went from like 65 to like 95. So I know that has something to do with it. And like I said, it was so new that it just wasn't fully broken in, and I did bust. You can see like right in here I busted that, but whatever. So, but other than that, since then I've put new felling dogs on there. I think these are the West Coast ones. The ones that came stock on it are pretty much useless, so these are really nice. I got the West Coast bark box there. Not sure if that makes much of a difference. I feel like it does run a little better. It's definitely loud. So if anyone's thinking of buying it and doesn't want a loud saw, don't buy that. But I own from the smallest top handles to mid-size saws to the 660, the 881, 461. I own them all. So, and I run them all pretty consistently. But the 500i is probably the one I gravitate to the most. It's decent on fuel. I think the biggest difference that I notice is it holds the RPMs really well. Where I feel like the other saws have a little bit more torque, if that makes sense. But that's why it cuts so fast. So if you got a sharp chain, I mean, and the saw is fairly light. I've never put a light bar on it. Don't really need it. I'd rather have the extra weight in the front to help the saw go through the wood. Because when you're cutting for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, you know, I feel like sometimes that is nice to have. Other people may say otherwise, but I don't know. I do like it. After it got kind of broken, it runs flawlessly. I always run the 25-inch bars. Occasionally, if I run through my chains that day and I don't feel like sharpening, I'll throw the 20 on, then it really screams. I haven't put anything longer than 25 on there. I think 28 would be the max I would put on that. And you could probably run that, it'd probably be fine. I just feel anything longer than that's kind of ridiculous, unless you're cutting down a really big tree. But then I would just pull out one of my bigger saws. I'd pull out my 660 or the 881 with the 3 or 4 foot bar on it. So is it a good saw for the average homeowner? It's way overkill. If you're only cutting wood to just have enough wood to heat your home, if that's what you're doing, you don't need to spend, I don't remember what I paid, $1,500. You don't need that. 462 is fine, 371 is just fine. But if you're actually looking to produce or cut a lot of wood really fast, that saw is really nice. It's extremely powerful, so if you don't know what you're doing, I mean, you can get in trouble really quick. That's with any saw. So I kind of have a couple big logs staged here that I'm going to show you guys of me cutting it. So this is beech. I didn't measure it, so I'm not sure how big it is, but you can compare it to my hand. So it's a pretty big, if I had to guess. It's probably like 18 inches. That's beech there. And then I got some hard maple here. These are probably, this one's probably 12 inches, give or take. And this one's probably 15. So I'll run it consistently. I'll probably start with the beech, come over here and do these two. I'll cut this one where it stands, I think. I don't know, I might pull it off because I'm actually going to put a little pressure on it so you can hear it when it bogs down a little bit, how much it just continues to cut. Like I said, I cut all day, every day, so I know what to expect with this saw. Obviously, I'll keep it out of the ground. I'll just cut them down. So I'm going to try to cut it as fast as I can so you can get an idea, because obviously this is hardwood here, how fast it can cut with some pressure on it. And it's a fairly, I did sharpen it up earlier. I have made probably 100 cuts already today, so it's fairly sharp. And just so you can see how well it can handle decent sized wood with some good pressure on it. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll get the saw fueled up and we'll make some cuts so you can see. So as you can see, she runs pretty good. Obviously the chain was pretty sharp, but that was some decent sized wood, some good hardwood, and she runs well. There's no way my 461 would even come close to that. So, and that's pretty much why I run the 500i. It holds the RPMs better. So you could tell it kicked on me a little bit, but I anticipated that, so it was no big deal. But yeah, no, she's a good saw. I will probably definitely buy another one of these, just as a backup or just to have another one. The only other thing with Stihl, the air filters do get a lot of dust in them, but that's okay. I mean, that's what they're meant for, right? To pick them up, so versus sucking it in, but whatever. But other than that, it's a good saw. I do recommend it. I do like them. I probably will get another one just because it is a good saw. Hopefully down the line they make a 660 series, like a 600i or something like that. Maybe they do, I don't know. I don't really look into it, but because I'd definitely buy that. Just the fuel injection on those are super nice. So, but yeah, hopefully you guys got some information on that, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Like I'm not a true expert on them, but I've ran it for a year and a half, so it's been in the field. It's been used in 10 degrees, 90 degrees, probably sub-zero temperatures. And if you start it and let it idle for a little bit and let it warm up and get used to the temperature and whatnot, it runs really good. So now I always make sure I run, the Stihl premium 2-cycle oil and whatnot. So yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with the saw. It's a good saw. So I know Husqvarna and whatnot, they all make really good stuff too. I don't want to say I'm a Stihl guy, but all my stuff is Stihl. That's what I've had for decades now. So, and they treated me well. But so is it worth the hype? Yeah, I'd say yeah, it is. It's just a really good saw, and it runs really good. So if any of you guys are considering buying one, just know that it's worth the money. In my book, it is. It's worth the wait. If you got to wait, if you see one on the shelf, buy it. If you're in the market for a new saw, if you've ran saws in the past, I mean, it's a pretty powerful saw. So if you're new to the game, I wouldn't recommend that. It's a lot of saw for I would say the average Joe. So, but yeah, that about wraps it up for the 500i. Hopefully you got some good insight on that, and you saw me cutting with it, so you can see that how fast it cuts on good sized wood. So, and I was giving it a little bit of pressure, so you could see that it'll do it, So you could probably put a longer bar on it. I just don't know if it's really needed on this, but everyone thinks you need a 32-inch bar or bigger, and you don't. I mean, how often are you cutting a 5-foot tree? You just don't. So unless you're out west or something, but yeah, that's pretty much my wrap up on that. So like I said, if you have any comments or anything, any questions or anything, let me know. I run this saw every day. So, but as always, keep burning.